Good morning. On this Monday morning, I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take for Market Rebellion. Wow, what an interesting day we had on Friday. We had volatility, we had movement, we had all kinds of great stuff going on, some dislocation between the NASDAQ and the Dow, all of that in a backdrop. And meanwhile, you had a market that absolutely shot up to the upside, had a really strong close on the day, closed near the highs of the day, up 370 points for the Dow. Really a nice day. The turnaround. Now, the dislocation was still there, but the big turnaround that we'd seen in the NASDAQ actually turned and burned and moved 200 points off of the lows to finish the day on the highs of the day for the NASDAQ, up about 69 points, but well off of those lows, absolutely. And a lot of that really just some pressure on tech. We didn't see as much production in terms of the NASDAQ for the semiconductors as well. The combination of that really kind of pulling on the NASDAQ. And obviously you look over at the Dow and the hope, and everybody is watching for each and every day, including today, matter of fact, but the hope of vaccines and what really lays out there in the coronavirus and the headlines really are something that are huge. And each and every day we talk about what's going to push these markets around. And it always seems to center around what's going on with coronavirus and what are the hopes? What's going on in terms of, is there a vaccine? Is there any kind of a drug? There was some news, obviously, on Friday. We even have some news today about some hope. And because of that, you see markets up today, but you also saw a huge spike on Friday as well. Really, really big. Now, you did have the sluggishness of the NASDAQ, but because of this virus treatment, what are some of the names that immediately spiked and had a really great day? Cruise ships, airlines, United, American, both up 6 to 8%. You had the cruise ships up about 10%. You look at Carnival and Royal, really a nice move to the upside. The standout of the day, however, had to be the banks. We had not seen a move like that in the banks in quite a while. Now, can they follow through? And that's going to be something, because now we're back into earnings season. The banks, that's this week. It's going to be big. But Friday, what did we see? U.S. Bank was up 6.5%. We had J.P. Morgan was really leading the Dow. It was up 5.5%. Goldman Sachs up 4.5%. Travelers up 3.5%. Citi up 6.5%. Bank of America up 5.5%. The one lagger continues to be Wells Fargo, so that's going to be something that will continue to play out. But you could hear in all those different names that I just named off some great, strong, pivotal type moves. Can they hold on to that move? Can they build upon that move? That's something we're all going to be watching. The regional banks were pretty strong as well. I looked over at the KRE. It was up 5% on Friday. And that's something we don't talk about as much. If there's going to be a jump, we might see the bigger jump coming out of some of those regional banks if things are starting to move along, and if, obviously, a lot of big ifs out there, but what's going on with coronavirus and what the next steps are going to be. So energy had some strength as well. You had multiple names. When we look over at the XLK, even though it was down, there were a lot of the names that had been sprinting. They didn't pull back significantly, but a lot of those names did pull back, and we didn't see this much follow through, but we've seen so much movement to the upside. PayPal, Salesforce, NVIDIA, some of those names. Still great names, still names that are moving to the upside for the most part, but occasionally maybe taking a little bit of a foot on the brakes a little bit. Saw that in the semiconductors as well. The SMH actually finished in negative territory, despite the fact that we had Tesla and Netflix and Wynn and Marriott and all those names really powering the NASDAQ to the upside. So today, what are we seeing? Well, got a volatility index trading close to about 27. Right now, it's trading exactly 27.5, 28. So pretty big, still holding on to that volatility, despite the fact that we were up 370 points on Friday. Today, we're up 250 points. We opened the day up about 200 points. A nice, big, solid move to the upside. Again, they were talking about the fast track in terms of some of these vaccines. Once again, this one involving Pfizer and a partnership there. S&P up about 24 points, just like that. Dow up a couple hundred points. NASDAQ up significantly as well. Oil and gold kind of hanging around where they've been now. They've established this $40 level in terms of oil. Gold, something over 1,800, a little bit over 1,800 today. So that's something. What really, I think, is part of the backdrop is two different stories, however, today. It's Maxim and the analog devices. That's a big buyout that we were seeing there in that space. I talk about the chips all the time. Whenever I've heard time and time again for 3 months now, the Power Five, the Big Five, and they don't include the chip space. Well, That's been on fire. We've talked about the SMH hitting new highs, all-time highs. We've talked about many of the various names powering and a nice rotation within those names. But Maxim being bought out, that's a big deal, I think. And it says something about that industry and the power and the strength and the direction, and everybody is pushing. Apparently there was a great relationship there. It was amazing how fast this was put together. But Analog Devices, that stock's up about 14% today. The stock that's up, the one being purchased, Maxim, that's on a big spike. Now Tesla just continues to run to the upside. That's up about little over 12% today. But the second piece of news, the Maxim news number one, Tesla's just news each and every day. It's just absolutely extraordinary to watch. And we've seen option paper each and every day. And you just wonder, when is there going to be pullbacks? You're just not seeing any significant pullbacks. But as we wait on those, as folks wait on those, we're still watching this stock as it's had an absolutely unbelievable, uncanny move to the upside. That's been something to watch. Number two, Apple, Katie Huberty. Katie Huberty is every single stock out there. I have an analyst that I will choose over time that I say, you know what? That is the most accurate analyst for that stock. It's been Katie Huberty probably for the better part of at least 10 years. I started out on the Fast Money Show on 2007, and back then I was in Apple then, and I was talking about Katie Huberty being the lady that we listen to the most because she's been the most accurate. She's been the most right. Well, today she's talking about a lot of different things, a lot of different reasons, but a lot of it having to do with a lot of the money that is still out there that potentially could be rolling their phones and all of that. We all know about 5G rolling out as well, but the consumer and what the value is of those consumers for Apple, it's absolutely extraordinary. She went from in the mid 300s up to 410. Stock's nearly there already. The stock is absolutely on a tear to the upside. So it's interesting to see Apple and the strength there. And Katie Huberty obviously always carries a lot of weight when she talks about that specific name for sure. Now, it's not just Apple today that's moving to the upside, though. We still have the NASDAQ. It's getting powered by Amazon and Google and Microsoft. Microsoft a little bit less. Financials, not as strong. As a matter of fact, I said we wanted to see a little bit of follow-through. We are not seeing that follow-through. Yes, this morning, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs trading a little bit higher. You look over at the XLF, however, it was pulling back and getting close to flat and also into negative territory, despite the fact that we're going even higher. Right now, we're nearly up 300 points on the Dow, 130 points on the NASDAQ, and the S&P is up about 28, 29 points right now. Volatility, as I say, still kind of hanging in there. Volumes on Friday. Wow. We talked about that we hadn't seen the volumes last week, at least following through the way we'd like to, although Thursday we started to see more, over 30 million. Yes, on Friday, not yesterday, but Friday, 30.5 million contracts once again. So on a Friday in the summertime to have that kind of volume, that says a lot about what's going on in the marketplace, and the derivatives market is the place to be. We talk about it all the time. I talk about education all the time, and that's why it's so important. When you look at those volumes and you see the leverage and you understand how to reduce risk, and if you have a better understanding through the educational system that there are many out there. Ours is the very best. Obviously, I'm biased, but I listen to our guys, and they are absolutely fantastic educators. If you understand the options business and the mechanics behind it, you have a much better opportunity for success. No doubt in my mind, and we have the best in the industry. So, Dow leaders. Well, I talked about Pfizer being one of those names. We're talking about fast-track drugs. Pfizer, Apple, Home Depot, J&J, Goldman Sachs, you kind of get the idea. A pretty broad move to the upside. We're talking about Pfizer and J&J, sure, pharmaceuticals. You got some tech with Apple. You got Home Depot. You got Goldman Sachs. That's a pretty nice broad picture that we're seeing in terms of the Dow leadership, at least for today. And as I say, now up nearly 300 points. So let's get to the unusual options right now. China Mobile. Now, the Chinese names, I get more and more nervous about Chinese names in terms of the stock, not nervous when it comes to the options, because at least there is a defined risk there. So because of that, and we've talked about time and time again over the last couple of weeks, probably 3-4 weeks, we've seen more and more activity in the Chinese names. We see it consistently. It's been there, and it's been amazing. Well, today it's going to be China Mobile. Now, this is a really interesting one. We had not seen unusual option activity in this particular name since 2018. As a matter of fact, I had to look them up when I saw CHL pop up. I couldn't recall exactly that was China Mobile. So since 2018, a week ago, we had activity on 7/8, so July 8th, we had buyers of 3,300 of the August 42.5 calls paying about 30 cents. Today, we're having further buying, 4,900 calls of the August 42.5 calls, same exact strike, around 30 cents. Stocks right around the same level. Call it near 36 in both cases, a little bit lower today. So buyers continue to come in, and that's the second hit within a week. That's something that definitely stands out. I'll be looking at this one very closely. I'm not in it yet. I'm going to probably jump into it sometime later today, but I am not in it right now. So that really did stand out just because of the fact that we hadn't seen this name in a long time. That makes it unusual. And twice in a week, that makes it even more so unusual and makes me start to think that maybe there's some kind of a move ready to come to the upside. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but certainly we are seeing that activity, and that does stand out for us. Guys, this is the Market Rebellion. This is The Take. I'm Pete Najarian. We do this every single day. Try to break down as much as we can, give you a little bit of insight so you're ready for the day. We're only 40 minutes into the trading session. Good luck today trading. Have a great time.